And we are live with Justin VanFulpen, NFL agent, been around the game for a while. He's been an NFLPA certified contract advisor since 2004. He worked for the Texas First Nation All-Star Game as a scout. He currently represents several top NFL players, including safety Jeff Heath for the Dallas Cowboys, QB Trevor Siemian for the Denver Broncos, tight end Garrett Griffith for the New Orleans Saints, and linebacker Eric Lee for the Houston Texans. Justin, we're super excited to have you on today, man. Thanks for being with us.
Yeah, no problem, man. Hope everything's going well.
Everything is going very well. And so let's just jump right into it. You know, we want to cover a wide-ranging variety of things today. We want to talk about your journey towards becoming an agent and why you decided to pursue that route. What are the steps to become an agent? How do you evaluate and scout players? And much more. So let's just start off with it. Why did you want to become an agent, and what did that journey look like?
Well, when I was really young, I really loved the NFL draft and that whole process of the evaluation of the players, the drafting, and then how they, become, NFL starters, superstars, et cetera there. So even before college, I worked covering the NFL draft when I was in high school, and then as well as in college with different media outlets. So wanted to find a way to be able to stay involved with the game of football. Towards the next level and to the highest level being the NFL. So I graduated from Grand Valley in 2003. Then I did an internship when I was in Grand Valley with an agent out in Philadelphia. Decided, hey, this is something I want to do, want to pursue. So I got certified after I got graduated from high school, from Grand Valley in 2004. There down on the path to be able to representing guys. And then in 2009, 2013, as you had mentioned, I was the director of player personnel for the Texas First Nation game, where basically at that time we're the number 3 All-Star game behind the Senior Bowl and East West Shrine game. We had 150 guys drafted, 500 guys signed NFL contract, guys like Pierre Garcon, Sam Shields, Jared Valdeers, guys who've gone on to have nice long NFL careers there and signed second contracts there. So really, being able to have a lot of different experiences in the NFL world or kind of the draft world, really that's kind of helped me kind of shape kind of what I've been able to do now and kind of my goals going forward from now.
Excellent. And talk about the Texas First Nation game as you were the director of player personnel. What was that like, and what does that actually entail for people that aren't familiar with that role?
Well, really, as far as it's just about evaluating the senior prospects that are going to be draft eligible and to be able to try to then help get them into a game, just like the Senior Bowl and East West Shrine game. Basically we had, 150 NFL scouts that were there during that week, whether we were in San Antonio, El Paso, or Allen, depending on what year it was there, and be able to kind of set up a whole game week from start to finish. And really my role was on a personnel standpoint to figure out, hey, who were going to be the best guys that we could get to the game? Obviously, the Senior Bowl is the number 1 game, and the East West Shrine game. So then it was finding about, hey, how can we find these kind of diamonds in the rough? Like a Pierre Garcon, who a guy came from a D3 school, Mount Union, who's go on to sign his 3rd contract that he signed there with San Francisco, and being their number 1 receiver there in free agency. So be able to try to find those guys, those diamond in the roughs, those guys who, hey, we're going to be able to we're on the upswing of their college football career and going into the NFL, and then be able to help them get an opportunity there. And then again, it was about, all the, not necessarily the football but also the business standpoint of getting sponsors, be able to put on a product, put on a show, put on a game, in national televised, et cetera. So there's a lot of different things that were involved there. But at the end of the day, it was about the game of football.
Yeah, that's excellent. And as far as, being the director of personnel, being an NFL agent, talk about your process for evaluating talents. What does that look like? What type of guys are you looking for?
Well, just on a stand for representing guys, I think you're looking for guys who are good guys that you want to work for. Because at the end of the day, that's what you're doing. You're working for those guys there. You're trying to help them reach their goal. But again, you got to have guys that can play, at the end of the day. So you're looking at, depending on what, position, obviously you're looking at the film. I mean, 80% of the NFL grade is based on the film. So can this guy play or not? Does he project in the NFL? Yes or no? And then, okay, hey, what's his height, weight, speed? I mean, those numbers are key, especially, and then, okay, if he's an offensive lineman, how long are his arms? Are they 35 inches? I mean, that's what they're looking for there. So those are different things that kind of come in there, as far as everybody's thinking, oh, yeah, I can run a 4.4. But really what you're looking for is the legit numbers, legit spring numbers. Okay, what did this guy get tested, at a 40, or does a guy know, is the NFL scouts giving an evaluation of that? So you're looking for what the NFL scouts want, and then you're also kind of putting your own spin on it in regards to, hey, do you think he can play? In the eyeball test, does he look like an NFL player? And who kind of does he compare to? Whatever position you're looking at, who does he compare to in the NFL that you can say, okay, hey, because at the end of the day, you're selling that guy if you sign him, and that's kind of a big if because you're recruiting a ton of guys and you don't know who you're going to sign for that draft class. But if you're signing him, then who are you going to say, okay, hey, Joe Jones reminds me of this player in the NFL. So that's, again, as far as an evaluation process, and trying to be able to compare guys there. So when you go to market and sell, you have some ideas of how you're going to sell those to the NFL scouts.
Now, outside of just playing talent, what else do you use to vet a guy before you actually sign him as their agent? I mean, it's got to be a guy you get along with, right? It's got to be a guy with a decent reputation. Kind of just talk through that process. And for guys out there who are, in pursuit of an agent, what are some things that turn you off about a player?
Well, I think the biggest thing is it's just like a scout. I mean, you're going to go ahead and Google the guy, and say, okay, hey, did he have any off the field issues, and if those are, what were they, and then, hey, if you get, if you're recruiting that guy, is this guy going to be honest with you and tell you, okay, hey, I had this issue, I had a DUI, or I had, something that happened that, hey, it's a one-time thing, and, hey, it's not going to be a recurring, theme there. And then also, okay, hey, again, I always say, my simplest thing is, would I want to go to Buffalo Wild Wings with this guy, and be able to sit down and have a time to be able, okay, hey, watch a game or do something like that. If you can say yes, is this a guy you want to deal with on a day-to-day basis? And we see his, he calls you on the phone, you're like, or you're like, hey, what's up, man? Those are the things I think that, there. But again, great guys are great guys, but again, then you got to see if the NFL scouts like them. Because again, that's the ultimate thing. And I always try to be able to manage expectations and give guys, hey, this is what the NFL is saying. This is not what I say. This is what the NFL says about you. And the guys that are looking for agents, if you're looking for an agent, the likelihood of you going to the NFL, probably not great. Because if you have NFL talent, agents are going to find you. Because again, we all have scouting buddies or information that we're getting there that says, hey, who's on the NFL radar? Now, not saying that everybody, there's no diamonds in the rough or nobody's not found there. But the biggest thing is, if you're now, hey, if you're in that, underclassman or senior prospect and you think, hey, I'm an NFL prospect, and you want to reach out to an NFL agent, you can do that. It's not against any NCAA rules. But also what an NFL agent can do for you before you're draft eligible, before you sign, they can help you get into one of those all-star games, the Senior Bowl, East West Shrine game, the NFLPA game, College Gridiron Showcase, be able to kind of push your name out there to guys like me. I mean, I got hit up all the time by agents. They're like, hey, check out this guy. This is one of my guys. I think I'm going to represent him, or I'm recruiting him, et cetera. So those are different things that an agent can do. And again, it's not anything that's going to break any rules, again, with the NCAA. Again, I think the biggest thing is communication. The biggest thing with players, especially guys you're recruiting, you want to be able to have that good communication that respond to you in a timely manner, whether you're your client or you're just you're recruiting them as well. And I think that's just on a business standpoint with today's technology to be able to get back with guys, very quickly. I think that's what everybody wants at the end of the day.
That's a fantastic explanation as far as evaluating talent, making sure they are who they say they are. And really the thing that stuck out to me there was listening to what the NFL is already saying about them, right? I think that many guys, many athletes, including myself, I think I fell into that same wheelhouse. That self-awareness wasn't there, thinking that, you obviously want to shoot for the NFL, but at some point you need to be self-aware and say, okay, I'm not ready yet. So that's where Podyum, plugging it, comes in to connect you with the rest of the leagues around the world. Now, in regards to your journey towards becoming an agent, what would you suggest is the best route for becoming an NFL agent? Talk about law school, talk about the player personnel deal, and just how you kind of came into where you are today.
Well, I think the biggest thing is that right now, the NFLPA, you have to be able to sit for an exam, have to take an exam, pass a background check. You have to have a postgraduate degree. So if you're a guy who's, looking to, or girl that's looking to be able to get, as far as representing guys, you got to make sure you can be able to check all those boxes. I think the pass ratio of the NFL exam, which people I think are in DC this week, will be, as far as, they have a 2-day, the first day and a half, you're just, as far as listening to the NFLPA, there are people there come and talk about the CBA, the collective bargaining agreement there. So it's really be able to, understand that whole, that agreement and be able to pick it far from the drug policy to what as far as practice squad rules, what the, minimum salary benefits are, et cetera, different things that are going to come on when you're representing a player there. So I think that's the biggest thing if you want to do that. What I say is that whether you've gotten certified or you're looking to get certified, as far as really try to find somebody that's in the business that you can kind of, bounce ideas off of, ask questions. And I think the biggest thing is asking questions and being willing to listen and say, okay, from a perspective of somebody who's been in the business, who's represented guys, who's had to recruit, and realize it's not as easy as it looks on Jerry Maguire. I think that's the biggest thing is being willing to, if you're out there wanting to be an agent, is being able to ask questions to guys who are in the business and really listening and saying, okay, hey, they've been through it. Let me see what they are. And not saying don't take your passion for whatever idea that you might have or how you can be able to, recruit a guy or sign a guy, or this is how I'm going to, run my business or how I'm going to pursue my career path. But it doesn't hurt to listen and to really get advice for guys who've been in there. And many agents are willing to be able to do that and give guys or girls advice that want to get into this business.
Yeah, excellent. I mean, I think that it's a natural progression for a lot of our audience today. They probably don't have a lot of knowledge of how the agency world works, but that's why it's a blessing that we have you on here today. So then, Justin, as far as when you, what is your sell to an athlete? I mean, how do you segregate yourself from other agents? Obviously, there's hundreds across the nation. What is your sell to the athletes? You have some studs on your roster right now, so just talk through that.
Well, I think the biggest thing is what I've tried to do is really give information to the parents and the players, anybody, as far as with, working on my blog, footballnextlevel.com, where it's just basically information about the draft process, or what, as far as the business prospect of different things. And really in regards to my background of the player personnel, factor and different things that I've done in my past that really can kind of separate myself from other agents. Because there's not many agents that's done for what I've done in kind of my short period of time. And I'm not saying that other agents couldn't do it. They just don't have that experience that I've had in regards with the All-Star game and for working with GMs and different people like that in the personnel background to really say, okay, hey, this is, how everything works, and kind of be able to tie it in together there. So that's really kind of, or to be able to give information out to players and parents, just, hey, here it is, I'm continuous to put out information, just giving it to them and say, okay, hey, you can do what you want to do it. But I'm here to help guide you, direct you, and kind of know from my past experiences, how to be able to help you navigate that path to be able to get to the NFL and where you want to go.
Understood. And, I'm sure a lot of that conversation actually has to involve the parents, right? That's something that you touched on that I think people overlook. I mean, how much of it is actually selling the parents as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think every case is different. I mean, you get some parents who are really involved and really want to be in that process, and then some that, the player kind of handles everything. So at each case that when you recruit a guy, you're going to have to figure out, okay, hey, how am I going to navigate this? Am I talking to the mom? Am I talking to the dad? Am I talking to the uncle? Am I talking to the high school coach? Or is it just him that's going to make that decision? Or is he going to be the main point of contact there? So I think that's where the first part, as far as kind of navigating, okay, who's kind of making that decision? Who do I got to sell? Who do I got to convince? And then, be able to be a good communicator, be able to kind of take things down and takes, kind of the complicated everything and make it really kind of small and really kind of, easy to understand, easy to grasp, because I tell other agents that I've talked to and say, hey, we've been in this rodeo 19 times, gone through this process, whether, this is their first and only time. So, you got to be able to kind of say, okay, hey, and be able to kind of help kind of walk them through that step by step. Okay, hey, this is what's going to go on to spring grades. This is what goes on with the All-Star game. This is the combine. This is the pro day. Hey, if you get cut, here's what happens. Okay, this is, what practice squad works, how that works. This is how the pension, this is how 401k, everything that kind of goes involved in that kind of people, don't see on Jerry Maguire or Ballers or whatever, things that's gone on there, be able to kind of put it step by step there and probably kind of communicate that as the best way possible, I think, is at the end of the day.
So touch on Ballers really quick. I mean, how realistic is that show with The Rock? It's on HBO. I mean, is that just totally out of the norm, or is it pretty realistic?
No, I think there's a lot of things that are realistic on that, and obviously, Rashad Mendenhall, a former running back, is a part writer there. They've been able to try to, obviously, they've got to, kind of condense everything. So, crazy stuff happens there. But there's a lot of stuff there with guys who are, millionaires who need loans during the summer, to be able to get through it because they spend everything because, they don't save. They're like, hey, the money's going to come off forever, whether it's or injuries or, hey, you're recruiting a guy there. So there's a lot of things, in all those things that are close to reality. Obviously if they have to hype things up and make things more, sensationalized there. But there's a lot of, truth that kind of comes in a lot of those storylines.
Interesting. And okay, so now I want to touch on, if you're a college player, what is the best way to secure an NFL agent? I want you to touch on, the necessity, I guess, of an all-star game coming right out of school, combine, any information, and then what can he do as far as in the classroom, on the field, kind of just touch around the whole wheelhouse on how do I secure an NFL agent?
Well, I think the biggest thing is ball out, have a great senior season, and people are going to find you. But let's say you're a guy who maybe's, in a small school and that's be able to try to be able to reach out to guys and number one, like I said, be a good student, be a guy good in the classroom. Because again, what the NFL scouts are going to come and ask your coaches, ask the, academic advisor, ask the strength coaches, talk to your high school coaches. So they're going to be able to get some information there, and try to be able to try to see what type of guy you are at the end of the day there. So if you're looking for an agent, the biggest, I think, is just play well. They'll find you. Or then be able, if you're from a smaller school and you're playing well, be able to start, reaching out sooner than the end of the season. Start reaching out, now and saying, hey, this is, who I am. This is my goals. These are, thing, and let those agents then, the NFLPA.com, you can go out there and you can search by state, and go, okay, hey, I'm in, Michigan. Okay, who's all the agents in Michigan, and be able to then, reach out to guys that are kind of in your area if you're in that state. I think if you're kind of really looking for one, I think that's going to be, kind of direction number one. But if you're a player, they're going to find you, no doubt about that. There's, I think, 850 registered agents, throughout the whole United States, and they're always looking for guys that can play. But at the end of the day, you need to find somebody that's going to be right to fit for you because you're going to get approached by a lot of guys if you're, again, have the ability to play at the next level. You just got to make sure you got the guy who's going to work for you at the end of the day.
Sure. Now, along those lines, explain what is a bad agent like. I mean, obviously you don't know what that is because you're an excellent guy, an excellent person, even better agent. So touch on, what are some horror stories that you've heard as far as agents in the industry?
Well, I think the biggest thing is just not communicating back with your client. Whether it's good news or bad news, I think that's just the standpoint of, you've got to be able to get that information out there. Whether it's, hey, no one's calling, or no one wants to sign you. It's time to go to CFL or the arena, or hey, go get on Podyum and go overseas there. But I think that's the biggest thing is that's where guys, I think, become bad agents. It's just not, following through with their clients, and also not following through with the NFL teams, because again, I think guys get in a cycle where guys get released and now it's like, okay, I'm on my next draft cycle there. So they forget about the guy who got released, and again, when you talk about that, there's two different areas. There's pro scouts and college scouts. So when the college scouts they're just worrying about the next year's draft class. The pro guys are everybody that's been, street free agents, been in Europe, been in, the Arena League, CFL there. So you gotta, as an agent, you gotta know, hey, if I got a guy who's a street free agent who's not draft eligible, I got to call the pro scouts, on the team and not the college scouts. So considering a bad agent would be a guy who has a street free agent, he's calling all the college scouts. So he doesn't know what's going on there. Or as well, and again, not communicating. And again, you hear about those stories all the time there. And at the end of the day, if it's time that you got to be honest with guys, it's time to hang it up and there's no more options, whether, arena, CFL, Europe, and basically everybody said no. It's just be honest with the guy and say, hey, I'm trying to use that degree and go find yourself whatever your next career path is and be able to help them if any way possible you can.
Yeah, sure, sure. And then as far as you talk about the pro scouts. If you're a pro player who's been out for a couple of years, maybe you were just released from NFL or CFL roster, or maybe you've been in Europe, or what are the options for those players as far as getting back with an NFL CFL? I know that it's a very tough thing to do, but what's your opinion there?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, those are what those pro scouts are in that building. So there's usually less than the college scouts. Usually about 3 or 4 guys that are in that each city's building, each 32 clubs, and they're really trying to be able to see, okay, hey, who's guys that are just got cut in the NFL, whether it's preseason or during the season, and then okay, what are the guys in the CFL? What are the guys in the arena in Europe? And then it's just, okay, they got to go try to find tape there. So if you're a guy who, let's say, who's been in the CFL and balled out, or been in an arena, balled out, or overseas, it's to be able to make sure you have that quality tape, so that, hey, whether it's you getting out to the pro scouts as a player, or you've got somebody that represents you getting out there going, hey, this guy was in Europe, he ran 4.4, he's 6'2", he's 215 pounds, and he had, 90 receptions for, 1,500 yards and 15 touchdowns. Okay, hey, now we're getting this out to all 32, teams. There are 4 or 5, director of pro personnel, their pro scouts, et cetera, and say, hey, look at Joe Jones, who just destroyed Europe. Hey, I think he can play, But again, you got to have that tape to be able to back it up, and you got to be able to have the ability to get your hands on that tape, whether it's arena, CFL, whatever, to be able to then get it on, Huddle or YouTube, be able to get it out to those teams. Because again, that's where, okay, I think some guys, kind of miss the boat, whether it's in Europe or the arenas, because they don't have maybe that quality tape that, they can get out there to those pro scouts to see if they have an opportunity there.
Well, that's the number one thing that I tell guys that I consult personally is just, listen, you can't afford to take a year off of football and not have film. You can't. It's just, NFL guys aren't going to want to bring in a guy who hasn't played since college. So whether that is arena, whether that is international, you need to step up, get film, make sure it's quality film, and like you said, ball out, because that's when you can have that opportunity just to get back in.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right there. It is about not taking a year off. It's about getting film wherever you can, because again, the college scouts have already evaluated. They've got their report, and they can say, okay, this is what he did, at the University of Michigan. But if you never got a shot, don't have any pro NFL tape, and you're like, okay, hey, I still want to pursue this, and you go and in the arena, now you've got to be able to then, okay, hey, all they have is the college report on you. Now they haven't seen you. They haven't evaluated you. So if you're at Europe or at these lower levels of professional football, you got to be able to have that film so then they can evaluate you and say, okay, hey, I mean, there's guys who, Jeff Garcia went from the CFL there. Cameron Wake, currently, a Pro Bowl player in the NFL, had to go to the CFL. Many different guys have gone different routes there. Again, it's few and far between, but it can happen. But what you have to do is you got to continue to have that tape to be able to continue to play and continue to get better at your craft. And in regards to playing football, the best way to get better at that is playing.
No doubt. And Justin, we've talked about this before, but I mean, we touched on just the growth of international football and how you've got the Moritz Boringer, you've got the Anthony Dablés. The game is rising internationally, and so we're going to constantly start to see more players come back to the United States, or even as American going overseas and coming back to either CFL or NFL. You had Solomon St. Pierre from Italy. Went to University of Sioux Falls, went to Italy this spring. Now he's playing in the CFL. I mean, it's just, you're going to start to see a bigger trend of these international guys getting the opportunity to move up the ranks.
For sure. I mean, obviously that started in the NBA back when the Dream Team came in 1992 and kind of helped really spur the game of basketball internationally. It's taken a lot longer because of, the American football isn't as popular in Europe or in these other areas, but we'll see that. And I really believe eventually we'll have that Dirk Nowitzki, from Germany or another country that is a NFL superstar here in America. It might not be for another, 20 years, but eventually it will happen.
Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. And, kind of like what you said, again, as listen to what the NFL says. As a player, listen to what they're saying. That's exactly what we were trying to address when we created the platinum subscription for Podyum. We wanted to bring in Optimum Scouting, who is credible among agents, among NFL and CFL scouts, to give you an evaluation as a player. Say, listen, this is what we think. These are your odds of actually getting there. And if you have that talent, either as an American or international player, we're going to pass you along to our network of agents. That includes Justin VanFulpen here today. And, we're working together with Justin to try to give guys their best opportunity to succeed. As he said earlier, there's diamonds in the rough who just don't get noticed at times. And that's what we want to fulfill. I mean, we're so vested in this international game, in the arena game. We want to see guys get out of it and really be standards for the sport. So, Justin, do you have anything to insert, I guess, as we close up today?
No, I think the biggest thing as far as is guys who can't get to the NFL right away. There are other avenues there, but you got to be proactive, because at the end of the day, an agent is only good as his player is. So and guys are really looking, as far as you're an NFL agent, that's pretty much you're trying to push that guy there. So you're gonna have to be proactive. About getting to Europe, about signing up for Podyum, about, maybe getting your film to going to a CFL workout, doing different things there. It's not going to come to you if you're a guy who's not, the number one pick. If you're a guy who's kind of that diamond in the rough, you're going to have to be proactive, on this. And I think that sometimes guys feel like, okay, hey, the school's going to do it. Again, the school's on to the next round of class. Same thing in the NFL draft. They're on the next round of the draft class and stuff like that. So everything's moving as always. So you've got to be proactive at the end of the day, trying to get to these other levels of football.
No doubt. Justin, thanks so much for being with us today. Audience, I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Sign up for a platinum subscription if you want to have the opportunity to get evaluated and have the opportunity to possibly work with Justin. Thanks so much, man. We wish you the best of luck this offseason.
Thanks, man. We'll talk to you guys later.
Talk soon. Bye-bye.